Did you know that about 75% of people fear public speaking more than death? It's true. This fear can hold us back from sharing our ideas and connecting with others. But what if I told you that mastering one simple technique could transform your speaking game? That technique is the power of a well-timed pause. While many people rush through their speeches, the best speakers know that silence can be just as powerful as words. A pause can grab attention, build suspense, and even help your audience remember what you said. In fact, research shows that information retention can increase by up to 50% when speakers use pauses effectively. In this video, we'll dive into the art of pausing. You'll learn how to use silence to your advantage, create engagement with your audience, and deliver your message with impact. Get ready to discover why a simple pause could be the key to unlocking your full potential as a speaker. Let's get started. Chapter 1: The Silent Superpower. How pausing speaks louder than words. Pausing might be the most underrated tool in a speaker's toolkit. It can transform a simple speech into something that resonates with the audience on a deeper level. The right pause at the right moment can make a statement sound profound, even if the words themselves are simple. Think about it: when you pause, you give your message space to breathe. Studies have shown that when people hear a pause after an important point, they're more likely to remember it. A well-timed pause can increase retention by as much as 50%. That's because the brain processes information more effectively when there's a break. It gives listeners time to digest what was just said. It's not just about pausing to think, it's about pausing to connect. Barack Obama, one of the most celebrated modern public speakers, is known for his deliberate pauses. In fact, a study by the University of Rochester analyzed his speeches and found that his pauses averaged around 2.5 seconds, enough to let the message settle without losing momentum. The power of a pause is in the silence. It can emphasize a point, create anticipation, or even communicate confidence. If you rush through your speech without any pauses, your audience won't have time to absorb what you're saying. Take your time, and use silence as a tool to underline your ideas. As Mark Twain once said, the right word may be effective, but no word was ever as effective as a rightly timed pause. Chapter 2: The Art of Tension. Building suspense with strategic pauses. Suspense isn't just for thrillers. When speaking, you can build tension with pauses and keep your audience hanging on your every word. The trick is to pause at moments that create curiosity. If you can make your audience wonder what's coming next, you've got them hooked. Think of your speech as a story. Every great story has moments of suspense, where the listener is eager to know what happens next. The same concept applies to public speaking. A strategic pause can make people sit up and pay attention. A study in the Journal of Cognitive Neuroscience found that when speakers used pauses to build tension, audiences showed increased brain activity related to focus and anticipation. When you pause, you give your audience a chance to answer questions in their heads. Even if you're not asking direct questions, they'll start thinking about your message in their own terms. This is how a good speaker creates engagement without needing an actual response. Take Steve Jobs, for example. When he introduced the iPhone in 2007, he famously paused right before unveiling the product. He built suspense by telling the audience they were about to witness a revolutionary product, and then he waited. That pause made the moment unforgettable. If you want to add drama to your speech, slow down and embrace the pause. Pauses allow the tension to build naturally. The next time you're delivering a key point, stop for a moment, let your words hang in the air, and then deliver your next line with impact. Chapter 3: Breathing Room. How pausing can boost your confidence and clarity. Pausing isn't just for the audience, it's for you too. When you pause, you give yourself a moment to gather your thoughts and calm your nerves. This is especially helpful if you're feeling anxious or nervous before a big speech. Public speaking anxiety affects about 73% of the population, but pausing can help reduce that stress by giving you breathing room. When you take a moment to breathe, your brain gets the oxygen it needs to stay sharp. This makes you less likely to stumble over your words or lose track of what you're saying. Pausing helps you reset. It's like pressing a mental refresh button. Research has shown that people who speak slower and use pauses are perceived as more confident and trustworthy. In fact, one study published in the Journal of Nonverbal Behavior found that speakers who paused were rated as more competent and in control than those who rushed through their speeches. If you bombard your audience with information too quickly, they'll struggle to follow along. But when you pause, you give them a chance to process each point fully before moving on to the next. Next time you feel rushed or nervous during a presentation, remember that it's okay to stop and take a breath. It not only makes you look more confident, but it also helps your message land more effectively. If you're finding these tips helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more insights on becoming a great speaker. Chapter 4: The Listener's Pause. Giving your audience time to process. One of the biggest mistakes speakers make is forgetting about the listener's experience. When you're speaking, it's easy to focus on delivering your message, but remember, the audience needs time to process what you're saying. If you rush through your points, they won't absorb the information as well. Pausing gives your audience the gift of time. It allows them to reflect, think, and connect with your ideas. According to Psychology Today, people retain more information when there's a brief pause after key points. This moment of silence gives the brain a chance to catch up, helping listeners organize and retain information more effectively. It's like giving the audience mental space to breathe. Imagine reading a book without any punctuation. It would be overwhelming, right? The same goes for listening to a speech. Without pauses, everything becomes one long, exhausting stream of words. Pausing also signals to the audience that something important just happened. It's like a nudge, encouraging them to pay attention to what you just said. A well-placed pause can highlight a key idea, making it stand out in the listener's mind. In fact, in the world of teaching, educators use pauses all the time. According to a study from the Journal of Education Psychology, teachers who pause after asking questions or delivering key points see higher student comprehension. The same concept applies to public speaking. When you pause, you give your audience a chance to absorb what you're saying, and that's when real understanding happens. Chapter 5: Turning Drama into Dialogue. Using pauses to create conversations, not lectures. Public speaking doesn't have to be a one-sided conversation. A well-placed pause can transform your speech into a dialogue, even if your audience isn't actually talking back. Pauses invite people to think, reflect, and mentally engage with what you're saying. When you pause, you give your audience a chance to answer questions in their heads. Even if you're not asking direct questions, they'll start thinking about your message in their own terms. This is how a good speaker creates engagement without needing an actual response. Think about great TED Talks. Many of the most engaging speakers pause frequently, allowing the audience to digest the information and think about how it applies to their lives. One study from TED's Secret to Great Public Speaking found that speakers who paused more often received higher audience engagement ratings. This strategy is especially effective when you're sharing a complex idea. By pausing, you allow your audience to piece together the information themselves, creating a more personal connection with your message. You're no longer just speaking at them, you're speaking with them. In a way, a pause is an invitation. It's a way of saying, think about this. And when people start thinking, they're more likely to remember your words long after the speech is over. Thank you for joining us. If you found this video valuable, hit that subscribe button to keep receiving tips on how to become a great speaker. Your journey to confident communication starts now.